subject of mountaineering. Because I wake up and have a beautiful view of Acadia National Park, I really appreciate it, and I'd really like to keep the park safe for everybody else to enjoy as well. So my essential question is, how will joining the Mount Desert Island Volunteer Search and Rescue Team better my skills as a mountaineer and develop my skills as a teammate? So my prior knowledge to this was all of the heroic stories told by my father. He's been involved with both the Lincoln Search and Rescue Team and the MDI Search and Rescue Team. So all the stories that he comes home with really inspire me. Tons of mountaineering movies. I've seen movies of mountaineers making attempts at K2 and Everest. And as a little girl, I have always wanted to try to attempt one of those mountains in years into the future. Also, my involvement in Girl Scouts when I was in elementary school gave me a sense of woman power and really helped with my confidence in being able to do things that are considered tough and physically exerting. I was CPR certified, which helped me make further steps towards being certified as a search and rescue team member, and that was courtesy of the wellness program here at MDI High School. My basic outdoor survival knowledge from Wellness 2 as well, having to do with nutrition, hypothermia, and heat exhaustion, that really made me confident in being able to think, well, if I came across a victim that was suffering one of these symptoms, I'd be able to identify it and try to best aid them in the most efficient way possible. The physics class that I took here at MDI High School with Mr. DeCordy gave me a real background on rope systems and the physics of it with friction and tension and pulley systems. And my introduction to the team this past summer. I officially joined the team this past summer. I attended a couple of trainings, but my role on the team at that time was mostly as a spectator. I was also a mock victim during one of the trainings on the Beehive. I was able to put myself in the litter that I have here, and I was able to go down the zip line that we set up. And so that just gave me the thrill of what the team was like, but I really was not introduced to the real vigor of what I'd be involved in later when I started my project. So here's some more pictures of the training that I attended during the summer. Here's some of the team members, and here is the zip line, the controlled zip line that we set up on the Beehive. So it was spectacular. So my mentor is Steve Hudson. He is a naval architect and marine designer, and he has been a member of the search and rescue team for the past 28 years. And so his experience and knowledge to all of the things that I encountered during my project were extremely helpful and valuable. So I was in for quite a surprise because as I started my project, I really became engrossed in really setting up the systems more, doing a lot more of the carrying of heavy stuff up and down trails, but it was all worth it and very delightful. So some of the vocabulary that I wanted to introduce before I get really into it, and some of the stuff that was new to me, such as pressing, a hitch, and a bite. I have some examples right here of, I have a butterfly knot and a rewoven figure 8 knot. When you start out on the team and you're not familiar with how to set up these types of knots, and you're in a situation where you need to know how to because the lives of your teammates are in your hands, there's a lot of pressure, and so it was really important for me to do a lot of reading outside of the trainings on my own time. A great resource that I got from the library was the Fundamentals of Search and Rescue, and the technical rescue rigger's guide has a bunch of diagrams of all the knots, and I learned most of my knot tying from this. And other vocabulary words such as anchor, it's what we use to set up a rope system on a steep angle. Scenario, where you have to secure your system so that nothing slides down the mountain. Static and dynamic were vocabulary words that I was familiar with because of my physics class. Static meaning that nothing is moving, and dynamic being opposite, that you do have moving components. Belay and rappel also go hand in hand. It's how you descend a steep angle slope. The litter is that large device right there. Crampons, I have here. I was introduced to those during one of my winter trainings. What you do is you strap those onto the bottom of your boots and you use them to ascend very icy steep slopes. And I also wanted to include a carabiner because it's probably singly the most important device that you can have on your harness as a mountaineer and as a search and rescue team member, because this little piece of metal really is holding your life into the mountain. So my first training was on March 8th. It was on Door Mountain, and the winter aspect of it was extremely new to me because I had been outside during the summer with the team before. I was introduced to how I had to prepare myself to protect myself against the elements in terms of layering and my clothing. So what we did during this training, we had to snowshoe up a ways up Door Mountain. If you're familiar with Door Mountain, it's all stairs in the summer. In the winter, it's completely snowed over. And so that was fairly exhausting. Once we got to the point where we were going to start our training, we switched from the snowshoes to the crampons, and we learned, this is the prep, this is the team meeting before we started the training, and we learned how to make kiwi coils, and what that is using a coil of rope as a harness. It cuts down on the amount of equipment that you need to bring along with you on a rescue mission, and we worked with partners ascending and descending steep and icy slopes. So that was amazing. My second training was on March 10th, 2 days later. That happened at Camp Beechcliff, their indoor rock climbing wall, and this focused a lot more on individual skills. We worked on ascending secure ropes with friction devices, and then descending by switching over to a different descension device in a controlled way. So some more pictures of that training. Another thing I wanted to point out about the team is the diversity of the team members. We have here Seamus. He goes to Sumner High School. He's also a senior. But then we also have college students. We have rock climbing school guides that are part of the team, teaching how to better their own skills so that they're familiar with all the guidelines. And then we have a variety of different men and women who have been on the team for years. And so all of their experience, the different knowledge that they bring from all areas of careers and stuff is really valuable. And I think that was really what I found special about my project, is that I wasn't just partnering up with a single mentor. I really had a team of mentors. So my third training was on March 29th. It was actually in the backyard of the president of the Search and Rescue Team's house. And it was with the Navy SEER School, that stands for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. Now, obviously, we wouldn't need all those things, but it's set up for the Navy. If a soldier is caught across enemy lines, this school trains them to survive against the elements in a very minimalistic way. And so during this training, we learned how to set up fires, build shelters, and access fresh water or make it ourselves. And so as you can see here is the member of this year's school. He's a teacher there, and he laid out his entire pack that he brings with him everywhere and taught us how to build a fire in 2 minutes that could burn a stick the size of my arm with only a striker and a piece of flint. And so we all were required to hike out about a quarter mile into the middle of the woods and light this fire in under 2 minutes. And he told me this, and I was totally blown away. I did not believe that I could do this. But with the help of my dad, I worked with him, and we were able to build this fire that you see here. And so that really gave me a sense of pride that I was able to do that. Because it was what I was looking for, these mountaineering skills. It's really what I would need if I wanted to do a day hike, if I maybe got caught up on a mountain in Maine like Katahdin, and I needed to survive until the next morning when I could hike down with the light. So this training was great. So the challenges I faced, I had a brief absence. My mentor went to Nepal to visit his daughter. He left on March 13th and came back on April 4th. So there was a single training where he was not there. The way I got around this was all the resources that I had on the team that I joined. So it was not a problem at all that he was missed. The initial lack of fluency in vocabulary and language. I found that especially hard with communication during trainings. Because what the trainings are for is for emergency situations, a lot of the communication that we use is to be quick and efficient, no extra talking. So I learned a lot of commands and a lot of the names of the equipment that I needed to be able to quickly grab and use. Time management was a challenge for me as a student because I worked part-time at a restaurant in Ellsworth. I am thoroughly in lots of academics at this time. I'm also a member of the outdoor track team, and my involvement with things like NHS and the student council. I did spread myself quite thin during this project, and I found that I had to sacrifice a lot of my time for certain things. I had to balance my priorities, and so some nights I would not finish all of my homework, and I'd have to make up for it the next day. And so I really learned a lot about dedication. Physical exhaustion was something that I learned during the first training. It was a 4-hour training. I had never done anything like it. So that physical exhaustion, I just turned that around and figured, you know what, I'm being very physically fit right now, so it was all right. And the responsibilities with time management, I learned a lot about who I owed responsibilities to, and again, the priorities that I had to tier for myself. It was a struggle. So the new learning, the communication, as a team member, I need that in all situations down the road. As a colleague, so I really took that. It was a challenge, but I turned it around for that new learning. I learned to trust other members and the equipment. So not only the people that I'm working with who have my life in their hand, but also the technology, is what I would call it, that I'm strapping myself into and depending on to be safe on these slopes. The importance of being prepared. I learned that bringing plenty of food, a flashlight, extra layers, everything that I would need in a pack. I learned a lot about packing efficiently. Survival skills, literally what I learned that goes towards being a mountaineer, building a fire and creating shelters, my confidence that I would be able to use these skills to do day hikes, maybe expeditions like the Appalachian Trail. The physics of rope systems, I learned way more about that. The complexity of the systems that the men on my team would set up, and I would just watch because I had no idea what was going on. I learned a lot about that. And I attained, not so much as learned, but I attained the feeling of belonging and a sense of purpose that I really need personally. I really strive to involve myself in situations where I'm needed and I feel like I'm doing something for others. So that was great. So what now? I'm going to the University of Massachusetts at Amherst for engineering. And I really believe, even though I'm going out of state, I'm going to be leaving Acadia National Park, a place that I love. All of my skills that I've learned on the search and rescue team, I can use to be a part of the search team wherever I go because it can translate nationally. And also it can apply to my studies as an engineer because it's so thoroughly involved with physics. So special thanks to my mentor, Steve Hudson, because of his vast knowledge of the topic. My dad, Peter Goebel, because he attended every single training with me and gave me tons of pointers on the sidelines. Davin O'Connell, the president of the search and rescue team, for opening up his backyard to us during that last training. Al Simmons and George Gilpin, both men are members of the search and rescue team. They both helped me become involved with the online course that I had to take that goes toward my certification as a search and rescue team member. The entire MDI search and rescue team, as I said before, they were all like mentors to me, and Christian Cohen's my senior ex-teacher. Thank you.
When you complete this training, do you have to be certified to be a member of the search and rescue team? And are you certified?
I'm not certified yet. Yes, to be certified, it's a dual thing. You are certified individually as a search team member and as a rescue team member, and so typically you're certified as a search team member first. I'm not yet certified in that because I've been so busy. But after I complete the online course, and I have, there's task books for each certification, and so each one of them, you have to have signed off with the tasks that you complete and show that you can do. And then once you're certified, then you can be on call and participate in situations and incidents where people are injured.
Do you plan on being certified? Are you hoping to be?
Yes, I'm hoping. My plan is when things slow down with school, once I graduate, I'll really be able to attend way more trainings. I'll be able to finish that online course. And so I'll spend most of my summer with the search and rescue team, I hope, and I'll hopefully be certified as soon as possible.
Anyone? Do you know how many, this may be more a question for your dad, your mentor, but how many search and rescues happen yearly around Acadia? I read a lot in the paper, so, but I'm sure I missed it.
I haven't had a class in September. My husband's on the team.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, during the summers it usually picks up when tourists come. Not as like a stereotype, but you know, people who aren't as familiar with the park, they can get lost or they don't know how to prepare themselves if they're caught overnight or something like that. Or especially trails like the precipice, when that's open because of how technical that is, people don't expect how hard it's going to be. If they fall, they can get really hurt, things like that.
You said you have CPR training. That's good. What other training beyond that medically do you need?
Well, medically, I'm not sure that you're required to have anything else, but we do have a variety of different, we have doctors and medics and things like that on the team, and so we use them a lot in emergency situations because they are able to use that in a rescue situation. But as a search and rescue team member, I don't need to be certified in anything else. I also am certified with the AED as well. And so that's really the only thing in the task book that it really says that you need to have checked off.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had to be a wilderness first responder or a wilderness advanced first aid, in case you were out on your own or out by yourself, having those other skills. If you were with a party that you were the only member of that was search and rescue certified, would you have to have those? Would it be good to have those? I don't know, it's just something.
Oh yes, it would be ideal to have those, but like I said, it's not required to be certified, but that is something that I would look for next.
You talked about the language and the vocabulary, and you said that it's nationally understood. How about internationally?
Internationally, I'm not really sure how that would translate. Like if I moved to Canada or something like that, I believe I would have to be recertified for that.
Have you ever read Paul Petzol's book? He's kind of one of the fathers from out there. He wrote some of the language and could be interested.
Oh, all right, I'll look into that.
Jenny, did you have any, did you feel that this training helped you in terms of being safer as a hiker, a climber, a mountaineer? Like, how, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's funny. This past summer I did a lot of hiking, as I typically do with my friends. And I don't usually bring a flashlight, and I don't usually bring layers in case it rains. And I've hiked the Beehive in bare feet before, which is appalling. So after I joined the team, and I heard all these stories about people not bringing food, and so they were fatigued at the top of the mountain, they couldn't hike down. I started to bring just a little pack. I started to bring a water bottle, proper shoes. I always brought an extra sweatshirt just in case if it was like sunny and I was in a tank top, I could still bring extra layers. And in terms of safety, I am so confident. If I was anywhere in Acadia, because I've been looking at a lot of maps, I'm very familiar with the layout and geography of the park. So I'm not at all uncertain about if I were to get lost, how I would get back to civilization, things like that. So yeah, I love Acadia National Park, and on a larger scale, another one of my favorite mountains that I've only gotten to summit once is Katahdin, and being lost up on that mountain would be terrifying, but I know that I would not die on that mountain. I would be able to survive. So that's a nice feeling. Yeah.
During your training, was your Beehive for any mountains you were able to go on, or did you go anywhere else?
During trainings, outside of the trainings, I did a couple one-on-ones with my dad, and we went on the red and orange and black trail. And a couple of other ones. As official trainings, no, I was not able to go on anything besides Door Mountain and the Beehive. There was another training that I attended in the summer that was in Eastern, I believe, and so we expand outside of the park. We go off island as well, but that was all that I got to do for my project.
Any other questions from the audience? Well, we thank you. And at this point,